I always thought nothing could ruin the happiest moment of my life, until my sister showed up. It was supposed to be the start of forever. The vows, the photos, the gentle ocean breeze still clinging to my wedding hair. Everything felt perfect, until it didn't. I had booked a honeymoon hotel that seemed like a dream come true. White sheets, fresh flowers, a private balcony overlooking turquoise waters. The type of place where you could forgive the world for anything, except betrayal. When we arrived, my husband seemed distracted, even jumpy. At first, I thought he was just tired from the wedding, or maybe overwhelmed by how fast everything had moved. We barely had time to breathe between the ceremony and the flight. But it was more than that, a certain coldness in his eyes, a constant glance at his phone. I brushed it off. I didn't want to be that wife, the one who questions every little thing. Besides, who would ever suspect that the person you trusted with your wedding dress, your deepest secrets, your entire childhood, could become your worst nightmare? It all started to feel off the second night. My husband said he had to step out for a quick call, and left me alone with a half-finished bottle of honeymoon champagne. I waited, counting the minutes. 10, 20, 30. When I finally heard the faint click of the door, I was relieved, until I saw who came in behind him. It was my sister. She acted as if she owned the place, a smirk on her lips, her hair still styled from the wedding reception, only slightly messed up in a way that made my stomach twist. She didn't even look at me, just walked past like I was invisible. I felt my hands go cold. I asked him, "What is she doing here?" He stammered something about family visiting and she wanted to see how we were doing. Lies. I could smell them on his breath, the same way I could smell her perfume clinging to his shirt. I needed to breathe. I needed a moment to figure out if I was losing my mind or if this was really happening. So I stepped onto the balcony, my heart pounding, replaying everything in my head. That was the moment I realized, I wasn't crazy. I was married to a traitor, and my sister was no better. If you're reading this right now, please tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you saw your own sister sneaking into your honeymoon suite with your brand new husband? Seriously, I need to know I'm not alone. And if you want to see how far I took my revenge, make sure to hit subscribe and share this with someone who believes family would never betray them. Because trust me, they might. I stood there on the balcony until the sea breeze froze my tears. Then I heard them laughing inside. That was the final knife. They had no shame, no guilt, not even a moment of hesitation. My husband, no, the man who was my husband for barely 48 hours, had already chosen his side. My sister had always been beautiful, the golden child, the one everyone praised. I was used to that. But I never imagined she'd want what was mine, especially my marriage. I listened as they poured another glass of champagne, as if I didn't even exist. Every second felt like an hour. I wanted to scream, to break things, to make a scene. But then I remembered what my grandmother always told me, revenge is best served cold. So I stepped back inside, wiping my tears, pretending nothing had happened. I smiled at them, a smile so bright it made my cheeks hurt. They didn't even notice. I decided in that moment I would not cry. I would not yell. I would not let them see how badly they had hurt me. Instead, I would break them in a way they'd never expect. Because if they could lie to my face, I could lie right back. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on the far side of the bed, the edge digging into my ribs, while the two people I trusted most whispered and giggled behind me. The darkness felt thick, as if it were choking me. I kept my eyes closed, listening to them, letting every word slice a little deeper into my mind. My husband, no, I refused to call him that again, the man I had married 2 days before, had no shame. He kissed her like I wasn't even in the room. My sister, my own blood, didn't hesitate to laugh in my face. She stole my life right out from under me. I kept repeating my grandmother's words like a prayer, revenge is best served cold. In the morning, I woke up before them. They were still tangled together, a twisted scene of betrayal that made me want to vomit. But I forced myself to keep calm. I had to. If I screamed, if I broke down, they would win. And I refused to give them that satisfaction. I went to the hotel reception and asked for a printout of our bill. Seeing the charges laid out in black and white, room service, champagne, couples massage, made my stomach turn. They were enjoying my honeymoon while I was paying the bill. That was when it clicked. If they wanted to take everything from me, then I would take everything from them. I stood at the counter, smiling so politely the receptionist probably thought I was the happiest bride on earth. I asked for an upgrade, but under my name only. Then, I told her to put a block on both their cards for security reasons, making it look like fraud prevention. The hotel agreed without question. I felt a thrill run through me, a jolt of power. They would wake up in my honeymoon suite, only to realize they couldn't even buy a cup of coffee. I upgraded myself to a private island package, paid in advance, so they couldn't touch a dime of my money again. But before I left, I needed to see them one last time. I wanted them to see my face, to see that I was walking away on my own terms. I went back upstairs, packed my bags calmly, folded each dress as if nothing was wrong. My sister stirred when I zipped the last suitcase. She tried to sit up, hair tangled, mascara smudged, looking more like a stranger than my sister. "Where are you going?" she asked. I smiled. "I'm going where you two can't follow." Her face fell. My husband, that man, rubbed his eyes, clueless. "What are you talking about?" I shrugged. "You'll figure it out." And then I walked out. No tears, no drama, no screaming. Just cold, unstoppable resolve. If you're still with me, I want to know, would you have confronted them or done exactly what I did? Tell me in the comments, because honestly, it still feels surreal. And if you want to keep following every twisted turn of what happened next, don't forget to subscribe and share this story. It deserves to be heard. The boat ride to the private island felt like breathing fresh air after drowning. The waves hitting the side of the boat, the salt, the wind tangling my hair, it all felt like freedom. For the first time since the wedding, I was alone with my thoughts. On the island, the staff treated me like royalty. I ordered everything I'd dreamed of without a second thought. Flowers, spa days, a private chef, it was mine. No one could steal this from me. Still, at night, the memories came back. The giggles. The perfume. The way he looked at her instead of me. It was a wound that wouldn't close, not yet. But I promised myself, I would not stay broken. I would heal, even if it took time. And maybe, just maybe, I would find a way to make them feel every ounce of pain they'd given me. Because they thought they'd humiliated me. They thought I was weak. But they had no idea who they were messing with. On that quiet island, alone in the perfect silence, I started making a plan. A plan to make them pay even more than a blocked credit card or a honeymoon suite ever could. A plan so big, so perfect, that it would haunt them for years to come. My grandmother would be proud. The island was a dream, but even dreams can feel empty when you're alone with heartbreak. I tried to distract myself with massages, yoga classes, sunset dinners. But every quiet moment brought me back to that hotel room, to their laughter, to the sickening scent of my sister's perfume. Some nights I woke up shaking, imagining them touching, kissing, mocking me. It was like poison under my skin. I had to do something more than run away. I had to reclaim my story, and take back the dignity they tried to rip from me. That's when I remembered my grandmother's voice again, revenge is best served cold. She was right. My sister and that man thought they'd humiliated me, but I was about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. I made a list. A real, handwritten list in a hotel notebook. I wrote down every lie, every secret I had helped my sister hide over the years. The cheating, the stolen money from our parents, the fake charity she had used to impress people at college, all of it. Things I had covered up to protect her image, to keep our family together. And then I added him to the list, his gambling problem, the fake stories about his career, the way he had cheated on previous girlfriends. I had covered that up too, out of loyalty. Out of love. No more. They deserved the spotlight. They deserved to be seen for who they really were. I made copies of everything: receipts, old messages, photos. I stored them on multiple cloud accounts, printed backups, even mailed copies to a lawyer I trusted. I would not let them spin the story to make me look crazy or jealous. But it wasn't enough to just expose them. I wanted them to feel it, the same way I felt the night they ripped apart my honeymoon. So I called my cousin, someone who had always been on my side. She was shocked when I told her the truth. Furious. And most importantly, she had a plan to help me. Together, we would invite my family to a celebration dinner at a fancy restaurant, under the excuse of sharing my honeymoon stories. My sister and my husband would be there, of course. They wouldn't miss a chance to keep playing their perfect couple lie. They would never suspect that dinner was a trap. Before I left the island, I made sure to book the most expensive table, the most visible one, where everyone could see us. I wanted the whole family to witness what I had discovered, with no way for them to hide. If you're still here, I need your advice. Would you reveal everything at that dinner, or keep it quiet and let them destroy each other alone? Comment below, because this moment could change everything. And don't forget to share and subscribe so you can see exactly how I exposed them. I stepped off the boat back to the mainland with a new energy, a new purpose. I was done crying. I was done pretending. I picked up a brand new dress for the dinner, elegant, bold, the kind of dress that says I survived. I wanted them to see me strong, unbreakable, impossible to shame. On the night of the dinner, I arrived early to check every detail. The table was perfect. The lighting perfect. The restaurant even had a piano player, like a movie scene. My cousin arrived first, squeezing my hand so tightly it almost hurt. "You've got this," she whispered. And I believed her. When my sister walked in with him, I felt my stomach twist. She wore white, as if trying to rub my wedding in my face again. He looked smug, the kind of smug that makes you want to throw a glass of wine in someone's face. But I stayed calm. I welcomed them, smiling, as if I had forgiven everything. That was the best part, watching them relax, watching them think they'd won. They didn't know what was coming. And as I lifted my glass to toast the night, I looked around at every family member seated there. I thought about the years I had protected them, the years I had swallowed my own pain just to keep the peace. Not anymore. Tonight was going to change everything. The restaurant felt like a stage. The low lights, the gentle piano, the hushed voices of other guests, all of it seemed to pause, waiting for my show to begin. I sat across from them, smiling, steady. My sister tried to meet my eyes, but there was a flicker of something there, maybe guilt, maybe just fear of being caught. My husband, or rather the man I had once called my husband, looked completely comfortable, as if he owned the night. That was about to change. I raised my glass, making a toast. To family, I said, and forced myself not to choke on the word. The others clinked their glasses, completely unaware of the storm about to hit them. My cousin gave me a tiny nod, encouraging me. I began slowly, telling stories from the honeymoon. Funny stories, small details, making everyone laugh. I could see my sister relax, thinking the worst was behind us. She even leaned forward to share a joke with me. For a moment, she really believed I'd forgiven her. Then I took a deep breath. "You know," I said, "there's something I think you should all hear." The table went quiet. Even the piano player seemed to pause on a note. I reached into my bag and took out the folder I had prepared. Dozens of photos, screenshots, receipts, a trail of betrayal. I laid them out one by one. The hush around our table was absolute. I could hear someone's fork clatter to the floor across the room. "This," I told them, "is what happened on my honeymoon." My sister froze. My husband's jaw dropped. A couple of my aunts gasped out loud, reading the proof in front of them. "I invited you here," I continued, voice steady, "because you deserve to know the truth. You deserve to know what these two did to me, and how they lied to every one of you." My sister stammered. You're twisting things, you're making it sound worse." I cut her off. calm. I wouldn't let her spin this. No, I said. You chose to sneak into my honeymoon hotel room with my husband. You chose to sleep with him. And you chose to laugh in my face while you did it. Her mouth opened and closed, like a fish pulled from water. The table was silent, no one daring to look at her. Even our parents seemed frozen, their faces pale. I turned to him. And you, I said, you thought you could have us both, like I was a consolation prize. You are nothing. His face went red, then white. He tried to speak, but I raised a finger and stopped him. I am not the broken one here, I told him. You are. If you're still following this story, please tell me in the comments, have you ever had to expose someone like this, no matter how much it hurt? I need to know I'm not alone in taking back my voice. And don't forget to subscribe and share this story, because you never know who might need to hear it. My cousin reached over and squeezed my hand again, pride shining in her eyes. My sister tried to stand up, but people were blocking her in. The restaurant staff had seen enough to understand what was happening. There was no escape. My parents looked at me, heartbreak written all over their faces, but I didn't flinch. I wouldn't apologize for telling the truth. They deserved to see the people they'd defended for so long. I packed up my folder, stood tall, and looked around the table. I am done protecting you, I told them both. From now on, you will answer for your own lies. Then I walked out. The air outside felt fresh, new, like stepping into freedom. I felt taller somehow, stronger. It was a power I had never known I had. When I got back to my hotel, alone, I let out a single sob, the kind that had been trapped in my chest for days. But then I wiped my tears, took a deep breath, and smiled. They would never be able to rewrite my story. I had taken the pen back. After that dinner, I thought I would feel empty, like a balloon popped and left on the floor. But the truth was, I felt powerful. For once, I hadn't stayed silent. I hadn't smiled through my sister's betrayal or protected a cheating husband who never deserved my loyalty. The next day, I checked out of the hotel and took one last walk along the beach. The sun was setting, golden light painting the water, making it look almost too beautiful to belong in the same world as all this heartbreak. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from my family, some apologizing, some trying to justify what my sister did. A few were angry with me, blaming me for ruining the dinner, as if I was the villain for telling the truth. I ignored them all. I had no energy left for excuses. I found a small cafe by the sand and ordered a coffee. Alone, I watched the waves roll in, feeling a calm I hadn't felt in years. For the first time, I didn't owe anyone an explanation. I didn't have to fix things for other people. It was over. Or so I thought. An hour later, my sister showed up at the cafe. Her hair was a mess, her face red from crying, or maybe from rage. She sat down across from me without asking. "How could you do this to me?" she hissed. I set down my cup. "I didn't do anything to you," I said. "I told the truth. That's all." She slammed her hand on the table hard enough to make the coffee slosh. "You ruined my life." I tilted my head. "No," I said calmly. "You ruined your own life the moment you chose to sleep with my husband." Her eyes burned with hate. I think, in that moment, she realized she couldn't twist this, couldn't spin me into the villain. The evidence was too clear. "You think you're so perfect," she spat. I laughed softly, shaking my head. "No. I'm not perfect. But at least I'm not a liar." That silenced her. I picked up my phone, paid my bill, and stood to leave. I paused for just a second to look her in the eye. "You'll have to live with what you did," I told her. "I won't carry it for you anymore." I walked away without looking back. Back at the airport, waiting for my flight home, I felt a strange lightness. It wasn't happiness, not exactly, more like relief. A burden lifted. My cousin called as I waited at the gate. "You okay?" she asked. I smiled. "Yeah," I said. I think I will be. There would be healing ahead. There would be sleepless nights replaying every moment, questioning my choices. But there would also be days of peace, days where I could finally breathe. And maybe, someday, I'd trust again. Maybe not soon, but someday. As they called my boarding group, I stood up and looked out at the horizon one last time. The sun had set completely now, leaving only a soft afterglow on the water. I let myself imagine a future where this betrayal didn't define me, where I built something stronger out of the ashes. That's the future I'm claiming for myself. And if you followed my story all the way here, I truly want to thank you. Maybe you've been betrayed too. Maybe you know what it's like to lose someone you thought you could trust. Please, if you've ever felt this kind of heartbreak, share your story in the comments. Someone else might need to see they aren't alone. And if you think this story could help another person, share it. Let them know healing is possible, no matter how deep the wound. If you'd like to stay with me as I rebuild my life, please subscribe, there's more ahead, and I'd love for you to walk that road with me. Because this isn't the end. It's only the beginning.